Hello, good morning, and it is quite early in the morning, nearly 8:30, and I am wandering past Edinburgh Castle on my way to the Traverse for this morning's first performance, which is going to be a breakfast play where I'm going to get a bacon roll and a cup of coffee in order to keep me content and happy. So I've also come through here with my son, who's away off to see his various shows during the course of today, and I don't think that he has picked anything that I've already seen. So at the end of the day, we're going to have an interesting conversation about what our days have been. But this is my final day at the Fringe, and I am off to do my usual daft nonsense running about looking Egypt. And today it's going to be 10 shows in a variety of venues, some of whom I've not been to so far, including the Traverse this morning, which I have not been to for quite a wee while, a few years. The reason for that is because they get very well reviewed, the stuff that they do there, so they don't really need the likes of me. And one of the things that I think is very good about what Fringe Review does is that we tend to see things that other people don't, and review things that are very, very good, are very worthy, or deserve, because of the effort that's going in. Somebody professionally going in and having a wee look at it and giving them some kind of professional response, which they can take account of or they can ignore, completely up to them. So this morning I'm off to a place that is well reviewed and indeed well looked after in terms of what has been coming out over the last couple of days or a couple of weeks, the awards, particularly Fringe Firsts. And I was delighted to see, and I think this is fantastic, that Lip Sync of Cumbernauld got a Fringe First award, which I think is very well deserved, and I saw that very early on this year in my experience for the Fringe, so it was fantastic to see them getting that kind of recognition. What I think is less fantastic is that the awards seem to be dominated by the Traverse, Pleasance, and not so much. I've seen one for, I think, the Space, and I've seen a couple for Zoo. I haven't seen Sweetgrass Market, Just the Tonic, PQA, and I just wonder if those critics who are particularly backed by newspapers have got to the point of Fringe fatigue, that it's become so big that there are some who look at the programme every year and they think, I've done this, I've been through this before, there are some in here that are going to be great and fantastic, there are some that are going to be worthy and not really award winning, so I'm going to ration what I go and see. I mean, you see the things like the Scotsman and the list and the amount that they'd review, that's maybe a harsh comment and a harsh kind of criticism, but I've seen stuff this year that would be worthy of being considered, and I don't know if they have been because I'm the only critic that's gone in, or I'm the only person who's gone to review them, and I think that's not fair, because they deserve at least another professional point of view. What I think is quite interesting too is the fact that when I look at the number of reviews that are on the list, do an aggregate of all of the reviews that are out there that get award stars, so we're not involved. When we used to award stars, we were, but a couple of things which appear on there. Last year I saw the best and the worst, so I saw the top and the bottom, and many of the things that I saw last year nobody else had reviewed. This year, looking at it, I have one in the top 50 and I have one very close to the bottom, which I wear kind of as a badge of honour. I quite like that, because the one that's near the bottom has been Marmite. It's really split opinion. I happen to like it, and I happen to like it for reasons which are to do with what the format is and who's performing it. And it's a rock and roll suicide at Zoo Southside, and I got 1 star for the Scotsman, and it's anarchic, and it is really, really not well performed in terms of what you're looking for, but in terms of the fact that you've got a punk performer who's got ADHD, borderline personality disorder, and is on the spectrum, it's pretty damn good. That we get something at all. And having read a review this morning of a New Zealand comic where it was completely utterly anarchic and ended up, I think you get 2 stars out of a review magazine, and also Lucy McCormick, which I recommend for people who like that kind of thing, but to be honest, didn't really float any of the boats in my harbour. It's about subjective opinion, and I get that. But when it comes to reviews, to see the dominance of particular institutions and particular venues, when Greenside Zoo and Southside and the new venue, the Playground, and others are really putting the effort in, can feel a little bit disappointing, and perhaps there are things being hidden. But that's also perhaps due to the fact that the Fringe is so large. So this morning, off to the Traverse, bacon roll, cup of coffee, and contemplate the day ahead, and hopefully see something well worthy of everybody's attendance. And I will talk at the end of the day, just before I go and get my munch. Speak later.